Hey everyone, have you heard of OttoDIY? Have you heard about the crossover with SMARS? Well, this is the show for you. So I'm Kevin McAleer. Come with me as we build robots, bring them to life with code, and have a whole load of fun along the way. So let me just get over to the keynote slides here. So you can see there we've got OttoDIY on the right and we've got our SMARS on the left there. You might be familiar with SMARS already if you've tuned into this channel before. So what is OttoDIY? You might not have heard of this before. So it's another 3D printable robot. It's aimed at education and hobbyists. So there's a lot of material out there that we'll get into shortly. Has a vibrant community of enthusiasts. So Camilla, who's designed this, has really sort of fostered a great community around the world, in fact, of people who've built this and customized it and so on. Like the SMARS, it runs on an Arduino, but it runs on the nano version, on the smaller version. Interestingly, it's biped, so it has 2 legs. And it can do some awesome things with that, dancing and walking and so on. It also has a speaker inside, so it can do some rudimentary music and sounds. And like SMARS, it has lots of add-ons, lots of ways you can remix it and customize it. So as I've said, it's designed by Camilla Parr, who's also part of our SMARS community. He sort of hangs around in the Facebook group. So if you're not a member of the SMARS community Facebook group or the Small Robots Facebook group, I highly advise you search that out and join up. So there's some links at the end of the video for that as well. So about Camillo. So he's a robot enthusiast like myself. We chat quite often, in fact. And he's designed this robot. I think it has been based on a previous model, but he's taken this to the next level. And it's in the software where he's really sort of expanded this. So I think it's on version 9, like iteration 9 of the software that he's designed for this. And we can have a look at that as well. So he's been all around the world, based in Shanghai, working for a toy manufacturer at first, and you can definitely see that toy and that fun and you know, making things accessible to children really come through in this robot. What else can we say about that? So he created this inexpensive robot. So you can buy these on OttoDIY.com. Not a sponsor, I've got to say, just an enthusiast like myself. So where do you get it from? If you go to OttoDIY.com, you can find the files there and get the bits of kit and software. I think it's also available on Thingiverse, if I'm not mistaken. But it's worth, you know, buying the kits if you want to support the project as well, or if you just want to get the parts and print them like I did, you can find them, search them out as well on Thingiverse. So how does it compare to SMARS then, you're probably thinking? So it's a small robot, tick, both of them are small. They both work on the Arduino. They have rangefinders for their sort of eyes, using the exact same model for that, was it SR04 or 07? They use SG90s to walk. SG90s are the servos, little blue servos. And like the SMARS quad, it uses a couple of them to walk. So I think it's 2 per leg. One for the foot and one for the sort of leg motion. They're both modular in design, so that they can be expanded and, you know, remixed by people because the files are on Thingiverse. And I've certainly done a few videos in Fusion 360 on how to create the SMARS robot. And they're both free and open source, so you don't have to pay for anything other, you know, unless you want to buy the kits, the electronic parts. But they're all freely available. I didn't buy a kit, I just got the model from Thingiverse, and I just ordered the parts online. So interestingly, from a software point of view, OttoDIY has one up on SMARS. It uses Blockly. If you've not used Blockly before, I did a video similar to this on, what did I call it? It might have well been Blockly. It's on basically graphical code, so you can, you know, design more for children, people who are not familiar with programming, and you just sort of get the little blocks, connect them all together, and you build up the logic of the code, and then you can program the robot directly from that. So they put a lot of effort into that and made it very easy to program and do all the fancy things. So not only just walking and moving around and reading from sensors and doing music, but also there's things like a, you know, 5x5 matrix display you can put on there. Quite a few other things as well. So they've really invested a lot of effort and energy into the Blockly side. And where I would say SMARS has got one up on Otto is SMARS is screwless. So Otto does use screws to fasten everything together, so it's quite robust in that way. And I do like the design of it. It's got a really solid design. We'll have a look at that on the camera, on the overhead camera in a minute. And as I said there, the extensive software library, so I would definitely agree that Otto has one up on SMARS there, in that there is a very mature software library that allows you to use all the full features of the sort of base model, and then there are lots of add-ons that you can get as well for Otto. So some really good stuff there from a software point of view. So what can it do? So there's a couple of different models there that you can see. So if we look at the starter kit, it can walk and dance, it can avoid obstacles using its rangefinder, it can produce sounds, and the next version up has some LED eyes. So you can see the red one in the middle there. That's got a touch sensor, so you can sort of tap it on the head and it'll respond to that. Again, it can walk around. What else have we got? So there's a few other things that they can do. So the wheeled version on the left hand side there, that can sort of go around mazes. It's got the wheels that makes it more interesting. It can do line following. So we have a module for SMARS. I think I've got one just off camera somewhere. No, it's not there. Oh, there it is there. Well, I knew I'd just seen it somewhere. So we have a line following module for SMARS, which is just couple of wires that we plug into the Arduino, and it means that it can sort of track a line. I did a video on that quite a while ago. And the humanoid version has some arms, some sort of posable arms as well. So it's got a mouth and arms. It's got the usual touch sensor on there, can avoid obstacles. And you can use either metal gears or the nylon geared versions as well. So they've got slightly adjusted feet and legs for the slightly larger metal version of gears as well. So it can do an awful lot. So remixes. So my favourite one on here is the llama. Look at that thing. That is just amazing. I do love the bender from Futurama and the little cowboy one there as well, and some other designs. So some people are really creative and have really taken this. But look at that llama. That's just amazing. I love that one. So the crossover, someone has done an amazing thing. They've taken SMARS and they've sort of mashed that up with Otto and created this kind of SMARS Otto crossover. So I'm in the middle of printing out my own version of that as we speak here. So this is a variant of that uses these yellow geared motors rather than the, let me see if I've got one off camera here, than these smaller robot motors that the SMARS uses. So these are the N90 motors. They're very strong, but they're quite expensive, about £10 UK. Whereas these yellow geared motors, these are much cheaper to buy. In fact, if I just sort of push this out if I can. Let's just get one of these off here to show you what these look like. So it's actually just like a motor that's been put into this little container, and there's some gears in there, and you know, it presents the axle there that you can move from. I think you just solder some wires to these parts on here. So very easy, nice and large to use. So you know, for kids putting these together, it's much easier than a fiddly small N20. And then there's this sort of holder piece that goes in there. And then there's a slightly modified SMARS wheel. So I'll just compare that to like a regular SMARS wheel. You can see it's got sort of a slightly larger hole in it for the spindle. So that can just plug into there like so. And you can see that the chassis is quite a bit bigger. So if I compare that there, you can see it sticks out a little bit. I've got another one here just to sort of overlay on top. You can see there it does stick out quite a bit. But it has got room there for the speaker. And there's also an on-off switch, so there's like a clickable switch and a little hole there for the speaker. And these speakers are just little piezo buzzer type things. So, and it uses the regular tracks. I've not printed out the wheels yet, or the head piece that goes on, but it's very similar to the Otto head. So if you've ever seen these before, you sort of squeeze it and it comes open like so. And inside you've got the servos there, you've got the battery pack, there's an Arduino Nano just in there, that's the little piezo speaker, and there's the rangefinder, so that's all plugged in. In fact, if I plug that wire there into there, it'll spring to life and start trying to dance. There you go. So if I just put them wires in like so, you can see there he's doing a bit of a dance. Now this servo here I think needs replacing. I think I damaged it the other day when he fell off. You can see that one struggling a little bit. He's just doing a bit of a dance. You can see there's motors that turn the legs sort of that orientation, and then there's the feet, the servos that are moving it there as well. You can see the nano just poking out there, and there's also the power from the board. And then underneath we have an on-off switch and the speaker poking through. So I like the way you can just open this up to get to all the different parts, and it's just a bit of force just on those parts there, and it just clips in. So this case is really robust, really nice design, sort of octagon shape. Just put that in there, and all the wires go sort of nicely hidden away. You can make them two-tone. I just printed because I had green at the time. I think the white head looks much nicer, so that's what I'll do on this one. I'll print out the white version of that. But you can see it's comparable in size to the SMARS. From the point of view of how do we power this with a motor, so we can use this kind of motor driver board, which is currently fitted as well inside the version 4 of the SMARS. That's the model that's gone for there, and that means you don't have to have the motor shield sort of stuck on top like we have on these ones where it sort of towers above. It's just a very small version of that. And then to drive it brains wise, I'm thinking we can probably use Pico, because why not? So one of these things can sort of nicely fit in there and drive that. So it just needs to speak to the motor driver, and also to the rangefinder, which will be, you know, stuck onto the head on the front there. So yeah, that's what it looks like from a crossover point of view. So let me just get back to our keynote slides there. And so where can you find out more information for this? So if you want to find out more about SMARS robots, you can go to smarsfan.com, which is the website that I run. And also if you go to the Facebook groups, either the Small Robots group, or if you search out the SMARS community, you'll find some vibrant communities there. For OttoDIY, you go to OttoDIY.com. And again, there are some Facebook groups. If you search out OttoDIY Builders, I think it's called, you'll find lots of people there willing to help you with that. And obviously both files are on Thingiverse as well, so you can search them out too there. So if you're liking this video, why not hit the like button, subscribe to it, leave me a comment, let me know what you think. And that will help grow the channel, get it in front of more people and so on. And the other thing as well that I would like to sort of mention is if you want to support this channel, then you can buy me a coffee. So if I go to that link there, we can see every Sunday I do a live streaming video at 7 PM Greenwich Mean Time. So on the left hand column there we've got all the Americas and Canada. In the middle column we have the European, Russian, India, Pakistan time zones, and on the right hand column there we've got China and Australia as well. And there is also my website that I mentioned before, so if you go to smarsfan.com you can find lots of tutorials, videos, code. There's even a store there where you can buy bits and pieces, so check that out. And as I said before, if you want to help support this show, why not buy me a coffee at buymeacoffee.com/Kevin McAleer, and that can help pay for the hosting, all this equipment that I have to pay for, the music that I put on the show. When at the very beginning of the show I usually have a countdown timer and some music playing, and we have to pay for that. That's not free. We have to pay for some royalty free music. So I subscribe to Epidemic Sounds, so there's a link to that if you're interested in using Epidemic Sounds for your own videos down in the description. And the graphic software I use to produce these sort of slides and so on, Canva, that's a great piece of software. If you've not used that, you can check that out, canva.com as well. But again, that's something that's has free and paid for versions. But if you want to do the more fancier stuff with transparencies and whatnot, you have to pay extra for that. And the streaming software that I use to bring this video to you, Ecamm, that also has a monthly cost as well. So there's quite a lot that goes into producing a high quality show like this. So if you want to support the show, why not do that? So that's the the pitch bit over with. So what else have we got on there? I think that was it for there. So demo time, we've had a look at the actual robot itself. We've looked at Otto, which is just here. He was in the background dancing on one of my videos last week, and he sort of danced himself off the table there and smashed his leg on the floor. So I replaced his servo, but I think the other one needs replacing as well because it's quite loose. That foot's a bit too loose. I think something happened there. And this is, you can get this with these nylon based servos. They are a bit lightweight. They're not quite as heavy duty as they could be. And one of the things I discovered this week, there's another robot that I want to introduce you to, and weirdly it doesn't have a microcontroller at all. It just has 2 transistors, yet it can do line following, it can follow your hand, it can avoid obstacles, and it just runs off 2 transistors, some light sensors, and infrared sensors, and a battery. Let me just pull up that for you now. So this is a little robot that I discovered. Somebody mentioned this on one of the forums, and I was like, what is this? I need to get myself one of these. So there's like a 9-volt battery. I've got all the parts just over here actually to build my own. It's 9-volt battery. There's one of these small breadboards, and just a couple of wire ties to sort of hold it all together, and then you've got 2 motors as the sort of legs, the motion. This thing's really fluid though in how it moves around, and then stuck into it is just a bunch of wires that connect the 2 transistors to the light sensors. Let me just play the video now and show you what that looks like.
Hallo, mein Name ist Varikabi.
Und ich bin Varikabo.
Wir sind die Kabelbinder-Roboter von Variobots. Mit uns lernst du auf spielerische Art, wie du mit wenigen Bauteilen einen autonomen Roboter mit 12 wirklich verblüffenden Verhaltensweisen aufbauen kannst.
Mit unseren 3 verstellbaren Lichtsensoren reagieren wir besonders sensibel auf unsere Umgebung. Damit können wir nicht nur verschiedenen Linien folgen, sondern auch Hindernissen ausweichen oder auf dunklen oder hellen Flächen bleiben. Außerdem haben wir gelernt, einen Licht im Schatten deiner Hand oder Gegenständen hinterherzufahren.
Das sind meine Varikabi-Freunde.
Let me just pause that. So that's really cool, isn't it? How have they made something like that work just using a couple of transistors? But if you think, what is a microcontroller other than a bunch of billions of transistors? So they've really sort of pared that back. But I'm going to build my own version of that and have a play with that. And of course, the other thing that I'm currently doing as well, which if you're following along with the Pico series, is I'm building an OpenCat. So I've got 2 of these at the moment. We have the green version, which is slightly older, and we have this slightly newer version. I think the heads might be ever so slightly bigger. So yeah, this has got the rangefinder in, and this one hasn't, but this one's fully built. Whereas at the moment, I've just got all the different parts for this sort of lying around, kind of half built. And I'm also putting this together, which is what the video will be about on Sunday. I'm putting it together in Fusion 360, so you'll be able to see how we can design something, all the different components from scratch, and what the sort of measurements are for that. So that means we can customize it, because this version was designed for, I think, an Arduino Nano, so all the board measurements and everything are designed for that. Whereas I want mine to work with Pico, so I need to sort of re-engineer some pieces there, so we can do that with the beauty and magic of Fusion 360. So that's everything I've got for you today. This was just a quick one just to show you OttoDIY and the SMARS crossover, and I hope you enjoy building robots as much as I do and seeing these small robots come to life. So hope you enjoyed that one. See you on the Sunday. See you later.